My guy Rothstein's Big Ten preseason power rankings clips are doing numbers, and I appreciate him for it because he gave us some great stuff in this one. Have another video up on the channel talking Indiana, how he picked them 15th. Another one that was a little bit contentious among the masses here is that he had Illinois as preseason number 6 in the Big Ten. Now, you're looking at this, there was a lot of shock value involved with this. Illinois finished 7th last year in the Big Ten, I believe, with a pretty good roster, two first round
Mhm.
NBA draft picks, Morez Johnson. All those guys are gone now. But like, I guess speaking on this as he says that Illinois is going to finish 6th in the Big Ten, which Illinois fans, of course, didn't like. But a big talking point of it and his reasoning as he went on here, and one of the main reasons he believes this is that he says Andrej Stojakovic is a wild card for this Illinois team. Andrej Stojakovic is one of the more sought after transfers in the transfer portal. Brad and Illinois end up with him. And Rothstein said that he is the key for Illinois because as of right now, he is a player who puts up numbers on bad teams, right? So he is, a guy that put up numbers at Stanford. He put up numbers at Cal as well, but just didn't necessarily win a lot of basketball games. So I guess, Ralph, I'll throw it to you. What are your thoughts on first Illinois being ranked by Rothstein as the preseason 6th team in the Big Ten, and then his reasoning as far as Andrej Stojakovic being this good stat, bad team guy?
I'm okay with Illinois being sixth. I think that'd be about as low as I'd have Illinois or would entertain the thought of Illinois being. But if you want to pitch me on that some of these international guys coming over don't hit right away or there's some issues just the roster meshing, could buy some of that, particularly with the fact where they finished last year. I think that's fine. The Sirakovic conversation is interesting because Rothstein's right in a sense, like just on the surface. He did not elevate. Stanford did not elevate Cal. Right? Cal almost missed the ACC tournament last season, and Stojakovic had the 18 points per game, but shot below 32% from three. Like he was not a super efficient scorer. Counterpoint: did you expect Stanford or Cal to be good?
He ain't Superman.
Name another player on either one of those teams.
Hold the damn phone. Respect Madeline Sissoko on this here podcast. How dare you?
Wait, I was waiting on that. I was waiting on
Come
that.
on
But
now.
like expectations were not there for either of those teams. So to suddenly say that like, yeah, he's a losing player because he played on teams that didn't win. Yeah, I didn't have talent around him. I might question his decision making to go play for those schools in the first place as a 5-star caliber prospect, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean he is a losing player. I do think there's a lot of his shooting percentages that are was hurt because he didn't have a lot of guys around him. There was nobody who made defenses or other defenses had to worry about other than Stojakovic. And he had to bail out both Stanford and Cal in a lot of situations, take a lot of tough shots, do things outside of, I would say, his skill set or just the flow of the offense to try and get shots up and try and create something. I don't think he is like the super efficient scorer. He's not going to turn into that. But I do think his numbers have been hurt by the fact that he hasn't played with anybody that good. Will that be an adjustment? Yes. And he's got to prove that like yeah, he can do more things in the flow of the offense. I would also ask you what else you expected from Stanford and Cal, right?
This video is brought to you by NBA 2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's, that's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college Football 26. Back to the video.
Yeah. It's such an interesting talking point when because I feel like this point gets brought up a lot with a lot of players. Like, yeah, he had good stats, but he was on a bad team. Some of these guys aren't God, man. Like it's obviously I think you want the percentages to improve, but did you really like we have I mean with Stanford in particular, like we have seen good basketball players come through that school. They had some high level recruits and some good basketball players come through that school. It is not equated to winning basketball. It's Stanford.
No.
Like it's Stanford. They haven't won games since the Lopez twins played there. Like with all due respect. Cal, like they've had some players, they've had some okay-ish teams, like nothing recently. So, I think he was the top of the scouting report. He was a guy that did have some success, can work on his percentages, but you can't just necessarily just label these guys as that when they haven't even had the chance to play in like I think Rothstein said quote unquote in this one is that he hasn't shown that he can be a good player in a winning system. My counterpoint to that would be like, well, now he's in a winning system. So like let's see what he can look like and see the percentages and what they look like. And you put other factors into this. You have other players on the roster. You have Boswell, you have Mihajlo Petrovic, you have Big T back as well. There are some pieces on this team that I think this is going to be the most talent that Andrej Stojakovic has ever played with. And I think it's going to help him. I think also being with Brad Underwood, being in that offense, I think is going to help him as well get those percentages up. And I'm fine with him doing six, like you said. I wouldn't have them any lower. I personally would not have them six. I would have them higher than that.
Mm.
But I'm okay with that. I'm not going to push back on that too much. The one thing I will say is that yes, he is right, like you said, that he is a put up numbers on bad teams guy, but he's played for bad teams. It's not like his stats are great that's making them bad. It's more so like he's playing really good, but the team stinks. There's only so much he can do. And like to your point, the percentages can improve. But I would make a bet that they do improve with Illinois.
Yeah, like, the label like it that Rothstein was kind of throwing around or hinting at is typically reserved for players that make their teams worse, right? Like think of not to have some Des Claude slander in here, but think of like Desmond Claude, right? Like put up numbers, but his teams underperformed for where we thought they were going to be
Mhm.
at multiple stops now, right? It's like he's throwing that same kind of label on Stojakovic when I would argue that he was the only reason why Stanford and Cal were viable and did not perform worse than they did. Like those teams that underperform with Stojakovic as the lead guy. Now, he didn't turn them into, NCAA tournament contenders, but I would argue very few players did. Maybe that's taking it with a grain of salt, like, okay, he is not changing your team overnight, which, yeah, he's not changing your team overnight, but he's a piece you'd much rather have. Just go watch the ACC tournament last year and tell me that's not a winning player or somebody who can contribute to winning. He almost willed Cal to a couple of wins there.
Yeah.
He didn't get any help.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get help. I would bet that he is a player that I think is going to be successful, I think, in this regard. But it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. Obviously surrounded by other players too as well. I think he's a player that I always believed in him, even back to the high school days. I think he very much earned his high pedigree kind of recruit and where he is. And look, number one options in Brad Underwood's system usually do really well. So I would bet on it looking really good. But this was another Rothstein clip that had many, many of bookmarks, and I think it will be something that comes back to from Illinois fans. But shout out to Jon Rothstein for the Big Ten preseason power rankings, and I'll be interested to see what Illinois looks like this year. But I'm going to go ahead and bet that Andrej Stojakovic is going to be good for them.